Hey, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I am going to be working with heat transfer paper to transfer this cute beach design to a t-shirt. Now, heat transfer paper is often thought of as printable vinyl, but technically it's not really the same thing. Printable vinyl has to be printed using specialty ink, normally by a print shop. Whereas heat transfer paper allows you to use your inkjet or laser printer to print a design onto this specialty paper and then transfer it to your garment. I'm using an inkjet printer today. Now be aware that heat transfer paper doesn't last as long as regular heat transfer vinyl, about 30 washes versus say 50 washes with HTV, but that doesn't bother me because this is kind of an easy and inexpensive alternative to doing a very complicated multi-layered vinyl design. The design I'm using today is available for free through the end of April 2021 if you participate in the survey I currently have going on my website, linked in the sidebar, and I will link it in the video description below. It is an electronic cutting machine survey. It's only 4 questions. You can answer them if you own a machine or you're thinking about buying a machine. And in exchange for that, you can pick a free SVG design that I'll send you. And this is one of the 5 choices. So please do that. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, a couple things to know about the ScanNCut before we get to the actual t-shirt process. I have this open in Canvas Workspace, but we're not going to use Canvas Workspace at all for this today. But I did want you to see that the design does have an offset border all the way around it. Now this is a separate layer in the design, so you could remove it if you didn't want it. But be aware that the ScanNCut, after you print this and then just scan it into the machine using on the mat, it has to have a solid border all the way around it for the machine to realize that you want to cut this as an outline. If you don't have a border, the machine is going to think that all these like white stripes and the spaces around the words all need to be cut out separately. And that's not what we want with this project. So that's why this offset border is very important for this. Another thing to realize is that you're going to have to be able to print this out at the size you want it for the blank you're using. Now I'm using an adult large unisex t-shirt. So my design is pretty large. It's like 9 3/4 by about 8.5. And that is beyond the ability of Word, for example, as a program you could print it from. Word cannot print a design this big because of the margin limitations on the program. So you will have to either use a graphics program that can print a design this large, or something like canva.com to create a printable PDF at this size and print it that way. I'm not going to go into that today, but if you're interested, please let me know in the comments and I can do a tutorial on how exactly to do that. I actually used Canva to print mine. All right, so now let's go check out the process of transferring this to a t-shirt with the ScanNCut and my EasyPress too. All right, so there is the design, how it printed out. Looks really good, if you ask me. It's got that, sort of retro color scheme going, so that's good. Now I am using this transfer paper. It is the NuFun Activities transfer paper for dark fabric. The reason I'm using dark fabric is because I'm going to be putting this onto a black t-shirt. If you are going to be using a dark colored shirt or a color that you don't want to show through the background of your design, you need to order transfer paper for dark fabric. Like even if you have a light gray shirt, if you do not want to see any of that light gray through the design, you need the dark fabric because this has like a blocker on the back, like it's opaque. So as you see it here is how it's going to transfer. If you go with light fabric, that one is slightly translucent, so the color of the shirt can affect the look of the design. Depending on what if it's white, it should be fine. But if it were like, light pink or something, you will see that slightly through the background of the design. So just bear that in mind. Now this comes with 5 sheets of transfer paper and 2 sheets of parchment paper. The parchment paper is kind of flimsy. We're going to use it, just to see how it goes. And then the back of this has great instructions. It tells you like how to print it, how to transfer the image if you're using a heat press, and we will be using my EasyPress 2 today to do it, so that I'm going to follow these instructions. It also gives you instructions for using a regular household iron, so that's really nice. Now to the entire reason that we did this outline. We are going to have the ScanNCut scan this and cut it out. So I have a standard grip mat. It is pretty used, as you can probably tell. So it's not super sticky. And I'm just going to press this down in the corner. And then I'm going to load my mat. Alright, so I'm using my ScanNCut DX, and on the home screen it's asking for a pattern or scan. I'm going to scan. Then it's asking, do I want a direct cut, scan to data, scan to USB? I am going to do a direct cut. Select the device to convert the scanned image. I'm going to just use the machine, not a computer, so I'm going to hit the machine. Now it's telling me what the settings are currently for the scanning recognition mode. It's set on 12 by 12, and that's correct. That's the size mat I've got. And I just know then if we look at hit the little wrench and look at recognition mode, it is in black and white. I'm going to start with that. That usually works pretty well. If I have to, I could change over to color to get it to scan if there's an issue. But I'm going to leave it on black and white and hit OK and hit start. And now it's just going to scan the mat, and you can see it sort of feeding through there. Alright, so there's the design. I'm going to hit OK. Looks like it has gotten everything, so that's good. And now I'm just going to shrink down the scan area because I definitely don't need any of this. Alright, so I've cut off the edge parts of the mat I don't need, and I'm going to hit preview. Looks good. It is all within the cut line, so that's good. I'm going to hit OK. Alright, and now you can see it is just going to cut that outline, the offset basically around the design. Now here's where it's going to get a little interesting. Theoretically, you should be able to cut right on that line with no added anything, and it should be perfect, right? Well, I know from experience it's not. So I'm going to go into this outline, and I'm actually going to go negative. And I'm going to sort of watch it to make sure that as it's going, it's not getting too close to the design. There is a fair amount of space around the design. Like I left about probably a 1/4 inch. All right, I'm going to try 0.05 because anything more than that seems to be taking quite a bit off the top, more than anywhere else. So we're going to leave it there. Hit OK, and OK again. It'll ask me to please select. I'm going to hit cut. I would definitely do a test, so you would hit test. Hopefully you can see this little red box that shows up. Just drag that off your design to somewhere with, where there's paper, and hit start. Okay, hopefully you can tell the test was great, so I'm just going to hit start. Alright, so it has print cut through, so I'm going to unload the mat. And the mat does the weeding for me. And there is the completed design, and you can see that it did a nice job cutting like inside that black line, so I don't have to worry about trimming anything off or messing with it. It's good to go right now. Alright, so I've got my shirt, which is a black 100% cotton. This is a canvas colored shirt in large. It's a unisex shirt. My EasyPress 2 it's going to heat to 350 degrees And we're going to let it run for we're going to press the shirt for 25 seconds there. It's ready to go, according to the instructions for the heat press down here. Now it does say we need firm pressure, so I am going to be pressing on this when we do this. But before I do that, I need to sort of prepare the shirt. Alright, and then I'm going to press it for about 5 seconds just to get any moisture out and get any wrinkles out. So I'm going to just start this. Now I could press a seam into the shirt, like fold it in half and press it, but I'm worried about how the heat transfer paper would work if I do that. Okay, so this feels a lot like very, very thin vinyl. And it's not sticky, so I'm just going to peel the backing off of it. And now the instructions are to cover the design with the parchment paper. Cover the design completely. So we do want it print side up. Okay, so now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put some strong pressure on it. Okay, well, the instructions said to leave the parchment paper on until it cooled off and then reveal it. The parchment paper just went right with the EasyPress 2. It just flew off my table. So there's the design. It looks really good. So I'm going to let this cool off completely and we will see what we got. Alright, so the shirt has cooled completely and it is on there. Like the concern usually with this heat transfer paper is that it starts to pull up on the edges, but it's not anywhere. It is on there. It basically feels just like a regular vinyl heat transfer design. So you can feel it. It's a little bit stiff, but I think with washing it will loosen up a little bit. I think it printed really, really well. And really overall it looks great. Goes with my kind of worn look of the t-shirt because that's the style of the shirt. So hopefully you like it as much as I do. I think it's pretty darn cute. This is definitely a much less complicated and inexpensive alternative to layering heat transfer vinyl to do a similar design. Be a lot of colors and a lot of work. So I think it's pretty cool, and I'll be using this paper again in the future. If you got something out of the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and hey, consider subscribing to my channel. Here are a couple other videos you might like. Thanks so much. Have a great day.